Ami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Some points from yesterday's discussions? Yes.
We have discussed the meaning of Bhagwan first. So, Bha and Gam, Ga and Van, like. So
Bha stands for
Bharata, like he's the nourisher, maintainer of all the devotee. Gamayita.
Gamayita.
So he awards, he creates all the quality in his devotees. And he awards pure love to his devotee, Prema.
And Vaikuntha.
He awards Vaikuntha to all his devotees. And last is one, he was. So Lord reside in the devotees' hearts and devotees reside in the heart of Lord.
Good. Jaldi yaad ho gaya aapko.
We discussed about hearing in the association of devotees, the importance of hearing in the association of devotees. That how we can like assimilate that knowledge when we are in the association of devotees. Else hearing alone, it will not help, and eventually we'll be disobeying the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and eventually will bloop away.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Realization, the subject matter, it should be applied in our life.
Okay, realization is applied. Prabhuji, Bhaju.
One cannot understand Lord by speculation. One should be humble and hear. That attracts the grace of Lord.
Okay, good. One cannot understand by speculation. Few more points.
One who knows the opulences, who understands the opulences of the Lord, he will be fixed in devotional service and he will be able to surrender to the Lord.
Good.
Yesterday we discussed Rahasya, the why it is called as confidential knowledge. Even though we read it, but we will not assimilate it and will not able to get it realization, will not put into practice unless one becomes dear to the Lord.
Good.
Like we were discussing, like whatever knowledge we are acquiring, it should lead to our faith and connection should increase. By that, or by how we will understand our faith and connection, by how we are practicing devotional service. Like we discussed how the material people, how they work very hard for money. Similarly, like for Krishna and for our ultimate goal, we have to do like that.
Good. Thank you.
We also discussed about how devotional service is path of grace, whether other paths they depend on their own endeavors. Bhakti depend on grace, and that grace comes by applying and surrender to our Paramparacharyas.
Good. Thank you.
So we also discuss about Gyan and Vigyan. So Gyan, the meaning of Gyan is to know the opulence of the Lord, and that is Aishwarya Gyan. And Vigyan means to know the Madhurya Gyan.
Yes.
So that is the science like Vigyan.
The relationship of Lord with devotees.
Discussed thoroughly about the sloka Ham Sarvasya Prabhu. There we did one activity, like how it will impact on individual level and then on SCON level.
Yes.
There were many points in the individual level.
Yeah. So we began our discussions on the Chatushloki Gita. We discussed the 8th verse, which is Sambandha Gyan. And so now we will go to the 9th verse, which is Abhideya.
Many times this Chatushloki Gita is told that is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, or even Bhagavatam also there is Chatushloki Bhagavad. Why this, like specifically this section? Any reasons for it?
As we discussed, because the essence of all Vedic knowledge is Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. And because these verses are indicating Sambandha, Vidya and Prayojan, therefore it's called. Same thing in Bhagavatam also, same thing. So that is second canto, 9th chapter, verses 33 to 36. So there also 33 is Samban, then 33 and 34, both are Samban. 35 is Prayojan and 36 is Abhiday. So that is. Okay, let's go to the 9th verse. Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam gatayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Okay, please read first paragraph of the purport.
Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees.
Okay, so these are the symptoms of the pure devotees. Machitta madgata prana. So Krishna is prana for the devotees. So therefore, if somebody is dear to someone, what the person does is always thinking about that person, talking about that person. That's what happens, right? Even in the outside world, that's what happens. So, similarly, because the devotees love Krishna or are trying to love Krishna. In either case, so the object of all one's activities has to be Krishna. Because the goal of all our spiritual practice is what? Smartavya satam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatu chit sarve vidhi nishedasyo retayo reva kinkaraha. So all rules and regulations are ultimately meant for this purpose of always remembering Krishna or forgetting. So therefore Prabhupada says, their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. The talks are solely on the trans subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. So the devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged. 24 hours. It just reminds me of something. So somebody may say in sleep also. 24 hours. What? You get dreams about Krishna? Correct, that's correct. But bolo.
Krishna.
ठीक है. So Prabhupada in one lecture, he's speaking on this point of how the devotees, even in sleep, they are thinking about Krishna. And to explain that, he gives an example, his own practical experience. He says there was one businessman who was selling cloth. And so whole day he would be absorbed in that business of selling cloth. And so at night, even in sleep, he would be quoting prices of cloth. That's how the consciousness is affected. So whatever one thinks throughout the day, that is what affects the consciousness, and that's what comes at night also. It's true. If one is very much absorbed in something, then you can see at night also one will be thinking about that subject. Anyone has experience? Bolo?
When we were booking tickets for our devotees for going to Yatra and returning back, I was able to remember that somebody was even in dream telling me their choices for trains.
So you're doing that service of booking?
Along with Subalpura Prabhu.
Achha.
That's
Correct. So
during marathon times,
so you also get dreams.
many times,
Prices of books.
like devotees taking books, I am telling you, this is not your book, this is another devotee. Like,
क्या बोलना है?
During difficulties time, matlab, when we remember Krishna and his holy name more, at that time in the dream also we get that holy name.
Good.
Vividly remember that dream. He was there in kitchen. I was also is there in kitchen. Prasad bana nahi. Prasad ready to go. I was there.
So that is called abhinivesh. Abhinivesh, absorption. One is absorbed in something. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada said, therefore, if throughout the day one is absorbed in Krishna's service and before sleeping reading Krishna book, then one hopefully can remember Krishna at night. But then that's the point. 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying qualities and pastimes of Supreme Lord. The hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna. See the specific word Prabhupada is using, submerged. Duba hua hai. Submerged. And they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. So we should be happy that we're getting a chance to discuss about Krishna. Here, discuss. So this is the life of devotee. So even when we are rendering practical services, that is also ultimately glorification of Krishna. Correct? Whether it is book distribution or preaching or deity worship, ultimately all services are meant for glorifying Krishna. So that's how 24 hours one is actually engaged only in glorifying Krishna. And that is the prana for the devotees. At the end of the second paragraph, Prabhupada therefore gives this example, and that is, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. Now, the entire second paragraph here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the growth of the Bhakti Lata Bij. That is the entire subject matter of the second paragraph. And so we'll briefly discuss this, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discusses with Srila Rupa Goswami in the 19th chapter of the Madhya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyamana Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By mercy of Guru and Krishna, one gets the seed of devotional service. So what is this Bhakti Lata Bij?
faith.
Okay. Somewhat okay. Bolo? Right. So Srila Prabhupada gives a very precise definition of Bhakti Lata Bij in his purports there. So he says, methods, rules, and regulations by which one is trained in devotional service constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij. Okay, if you can remember this definition, it's very good because we very often speak about the Bhakti Lata Bij. So one should know the precise definition. Methods, rules, and regulations by which one is trained in devotional service constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij. because that's how devotional service begins. Bij means what? Bij means beginning. So our devotional service begins by following some methods, rules, and regulations. So when we come to devotional service, we are told chant the holy names. We're told about 4 regulative principles, and we are told to follow the process. So that's how devotional service begins. So therefore, that is Bij, Bhakti Lata Bij. So that training that is given in the methods, rules, and regulation, the process of devotional service, when one is trained, that's how one receives the seed of devotional service. Specifically, Srila Prabhupada speaks about how one actually receives the Bhakti Lata Bij from the spiritual master at the time of initiation. Of course, before that also one practices, but at the time of initiation it becomes more formalized. And one formally agrees, vows to follow certain rules and regulations. Then, after planting the bija, where one plants the Bhakti Lata Bij? Yes, in the heart, in the consciousness. And then one has to water it. So the watering process is Shravan Kirtan. That is the watering process. So just like any ordinary plant or tree, how long water is required? As long as the plant is there. So one cannot say, okay, I watered for last 20 years, 30 years, now no need. The moment the water is stopped, what will happen? Any doubt? Same thing. Therefore, it is science. Therefore, devotional service is science. So same principle applies. So one cannot say, oh, I did Shravanam Kirtan for last 20 years, 30 years. बहुत हो गया. अभी थोड़ा break चाहिए. आराम. What will happen? No doubt. Moment one stops watering process, the Bhakti Lata has to dry up. Has to dry up. So therefore, no one can say that now there is no need. So in those purports, Srila Prabhupada uses one phrase, many times he has used in those purports, and that is so-called mature devotee. So-called mature devotee. So one who's actually mature, he always remains humble. And so therefore he strictly follows. Like the Mahatmas. Qualities of Mahatmas? Next verse. Verse bolo. Next. Satadam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridavratah namasyantasya mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So dridavratah. So the in the purport Prabhupada writes, the Mahatma follows all the rules and regulations with great determination. Not that now I become senior, now I become Mahatma, now I don't have to follow. No. Rather, the Mahatma follows very strictly all the rules and regulations. And practical example is Srila Prabhupada, how he followed everything. And even the Goswamis followed. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi. Sankhya Purvaka. Not that now we have become Paramahamsas, no Sankhya. Of course, they were constantly absorbed, chanting 24 hours, but still Sankhya. So, that is how one who is actually senior and advanced is supposed to follow the rules and regulations very strictly. Because as one becomes senior, one has another responsibility, and that is, yes, to set example. And of course, one who's actually advanced always thinks, no, I need to follow because I'm not advanced. And those who are actually new, they are also serious because they think, "Theek hai, hum to nahi hai." So who lands in problem? so-called mature. He's not mature, but he imagines himself to be mature. And that's always the case. That's when the problem begins. When one imagines oneself, now I become advanced. Nectar of devotion is over here. No. So Prabhupada is describing Raganuga Bhakti. This is 16th chapter of the Nectar of Devotion. And Prabhupada is writing there that how the advanced devotee, he follows all rules and regulations just like a neophyte. Prabhupada is writing, just like a neophyte. So therefore, if one imagines oneself to be advanced, then one thinks, okay, all this not required. Okay, new devotee is fine, okay. So, Vaisheshwar Prabhu was telling in one class, he was telling that how once he was planning to organize a meeting, a little bit urgent. So he was planning to organize it during the Bhagavatam class. But fortunately over there was His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj at that time. So he thought of consulting. So he asked Maharaj. So Maharaj said, I'm trying to recollect what exactly he said. Something like he said, so he said, this is the last option, something to that effect. I'm not able to recollect exactly, but something to that effect, he said. This can be the last option to choose to have a meeting. So then we should forget it. So that's the point. So therefore, one cannot imagine that, oh, now I'm advanced, now I don't need to follow. So the watering process has to continue. And in that same purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, only one who has heard properly is qualified to preach, is qualified for kirtan. So if one wants to do kirtan, if one wants to preach, then first qualification is one has to hear. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada humbly gives his own example, that how he was always very interested in hearing. And we all know the well-known pastime. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur noted that at the time of Prabhupada's initiation, that he likes to hear. So that's how the Shravanam Kirtanam has to continue always. So the only difference is on the platform of sadhana bhakti, we do it as duty or as tapasya. And those who are on the liberated platform, advanced devotees, they are relishing. Ramanti, they are relishing. So then the bhakti ladha begins to grow. Then what's the next thing one has to do? Fencing. And what is that fencing? Precisely, Srila Prabhupada tells two things. What is that fencing? Yes, following the regulative principles of devotional service, where? Yes, in the association of devotees. And I think so we did mention this before. When we talk of regulative principles, it refers to Yes, the 64 angas of bhakti, not 4 regulative principles. So following all the various rules and regulations in devotional service in the association of devotees is compared to fencing, because this is what will protect our devotional service. And in those purports, Srila Prabhupada quotes Narottam Das Thakur, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva, Nistar Paiche Kiba. Without Vaishnav Seva, where is the question of liberation? And he also quotes, Asat Sangtyag, a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is one who gives up Asat Sang. And so we have to be careful with all the Asat Sang that is available these days, to which one has a very easy access. And so one has to be careful what one reads, what one hears. One has to be extremely careful, because the consciousness becomes affected by that association. Even though one could be very advanced. Even though one could be very advanced. Maya is so powerful that even though one could be the personal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, still one could fall away. Example, Balakrishnas. So actually, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice purport. If somebody can quickly open. Madhya Leela. I hope my memory is correct. 10th chapter, text number 65.
Now that I have got
Correct. So now the context of the verse is, so now Mahaprabhu has returned to Jagannath Puri, and then after he returns to Jagannath Puri, he is telling Swarup Damodar Goswami, now this Kala Krishna Das has served, very nice, but now goodbye. Abhi nahi chahiye. Padho.
Now that I have brought him here, I am asking him to leave. Now he can go wherever he likes, for I am no longer responsible for him. Purport. Kala Krishnadas was influenced and allured by nomads or gypsies who entice him with women. Maya is so strong that Kala Krishnadas left Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company to join gypsy women. Even though a person may associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can be allured by Maya and leave the Lord's company due to his slight independence.
Yes, that's the highlight of that purport. Even though one could be personal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can leave that association due to
his slight independence.
Yeah, slight misuse of independence. Slight misuse of independence. That's the root cause of the problem. Slight misuse of independence.
Only one who is overwhelmed by Maya can be so unfortunate as to leave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Yet unless one is very conscientious.
Yes, unless one is very conscientious, alert at every moment. What am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I hearing? One has to be very conscientious.
Yet unless one is very conscientious, the influence of Maya can drag one away, even though he be the personal assistant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Maya can drag one away, drag. And then, of course, Mahaprabhu again caught the sheik and dragged him back. But Maya can drag, even though one be associated.
And what to speak of others?
And what to speak of others? If that could happen to personal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what to speak of others?
The Bhattaris used to increase their numbers by using women to allure outsiders. This is factual evidence showing that it is possible at any time to fall down from the Lord's association.
At any time. At any time. Not that, oh, now I've become very senior, advanced. Of course, there's enough evidence in history. There's enough evidence in Shastra and enough evidence within our own movement for all this. So we can't take things lightly. Okay, no?
This is a factual evidence showing that it is possible at any time to fall down from the Lord's association. One need only misuse his little independence.
Only thing one has to do.
Once fallen and separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead's association, one becomes a candidate for suffering in the material world. Although rejected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kala Krishna Das was given another chance, as the following verses relate.
Okay, so therefore that association is very important. That association is our protection. And again, association does not mean that, okay, we are staying together, eating together, sleeping together. Is that all about association? What's the most important part of the association? Yes, doing Shravan Kirtan with devotees and yes, taking guidance. Yes, Bodhayanta Paraspara. Yes, taking guidance or Guhya Makyati Pruchati. So that is the important aspect. And again, we have the other example of another very advanced devotee. Who's that? Who fell away? Bhagavatam.
Sovereign.
Bharat Maharaj. So the reference for this is 5th canto, 12th chapter, verse number 14. 5:12:14. So there Srila Prabhupada very clearly writes. Did we discuss that purport anytime? No? Okay, read. 5:12:14. Here Srila Prabhupada gives a sure short way to continue devotional service and a sure short way to fall down. Kaun padh raha hai?
In a previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharat.
So now Jad Bharat is telling Maharaj Raghuna about his previous birth.
I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience and through indirect experience. I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer. So much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer.
The most important thing is the purport.
The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Bina Mahat Pada Rajo Abhishekam. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down.
Remember this statement. These statements are worth memorizing. If one always follows the instructions of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. If one always follows, so always one has to be meditating. Am I following? Am I following? So one is always meditating on that, just like Srila Prabhupada. He was always meditating on the instruction of spiritual. So if one is always following the instructions, there is no question of falling down. Next.
As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down.
And how one immediately falls down? As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake the spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, that means what? That means I don't need Guru because now I become Guru. So no need of anybody else. I am my own boss.
Yes, sir, Prasad.
So as soon as one thinks that way, as soon as one thinks, I don't need any guidance, I don't need any instruction, I am independent, I will do things on my own, that's the big danger. That's the big danger. What Prabhupada is writing? One immediately falls to. As soon as one thinks of doing that, one immediately falls to. Because no guidance, no instructions means what? One is giving open invitation to Maya. Please come. I'll become your faithful servant. So therefore, we have been discussing this many times. Therefore, one always has to be conscious whether I'm following or not. That's all. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, many lectures he would say, no need of becoming big pandit, no need of this, no need of that, not too many austerities, tapasya, this, that. No. Only thing that's most important is what? Simply follow. But that becomes most difficult. Why? That is why simplicity is such an important quality. Saralata, Vaishnavata. That is why Vaishnava means Saral. You know that pastime of Srila Prabhupada at the airport? You know, there was a big crowd. So many previously, 200, 300 devotees would go to see of Srila Prabhupada at the airport. Nowadays, it's not allowed. So they would literally take over the airport. Everything blocked. Huge roaring kirtan and everything. And people are dancing and laughing and crying and whatnot. So there was a huge block. The visitors, the passengers could not move. So some official came and said to that leader, he said, do something. Other passengers are not able to move here. So the leader stood up and he told all the devotees, so all the devotees are kindly requested to come this side. And so all the devotees started moving, and Srila Prabhupada also started moving. No, not for you, Prabhupada. No, Prabhupada, I'm also one ISKCON devotee. And that's simplicity. So if one is simple, then one simply follows. One simply follows. Of course, not blindly, but then when he sees a reasonable instruction, he simply follows. But then if he speculates, argue, why not this, why not that, then we are simply making our lives complicated. And that is the meaning of becoming ambitious to occupy the post of the spiritual master. That means I occupy the post of spiritual master, and where spiritual master has to go then? If I occupy the post of spiritual master, then where spiritual master goes? So then that means the spiritual master is out of my life. Very dangerous. And then one does so many whimsical things to the extent of giving up one's bona fide spiritual master and accepting some other spiritual master. That is the height, the epitome of arrogance and foolishness. It's such a great offense. But still, we find some devotees have done it in the past. And it's still happening now. So then if one does that, Prabhupada is saying, result is one immediately falls. Okay, आगे.
Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya aprasadat na gati kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer.
Yes, this is another important. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, there was no problem with Bharat Maharaj's sadhana. Rigid life. Problem was what? He didn't consult a spiritual master when he became attached to the deer. So we may think, हमारे जीवन में हिरन कहाँ पर है? So we'll have our own deer in our own life. What is that? Differs from person to person. So one senior devotee preacher, I think I did mention it before, but just in context. One senior devotee preacher, he cultivated a good congregation of devotees in one place, and then he wanted to build a temple. And he was so attached to it. He was so attached to his idea of building a new temple. When his authorities told him, please wait, he said, forget it, I'm leaving ISKCON. This is true incident. Why? He was so attached. He was so attached to his idea. He could not wait. He said, these people are not giving me freedom. I did so much. He forgot from where he's getting the power to preach. He forgot the most important concept of descending mercy, which empowers one to do anything in devotional service. So he forgot that. And he said, I did it. I made all these devotees. I cultivated this big congregation. And they are not recognizing. How dare they don't give me permission to build temple. Fortunately, most of the other devotees were intelligent enough not to join him. But still, there was a great disturbance in that congregation. Of course, it happened even in Pune. You know? And there was a well-known preacher who was coming here. And he went and joined one Radhakund Baba. And there was quite a good disturbance. Some of them went. There was a good disturbance created here. A very prominent preacher. So these are not new devotees. These are not new devotees. These are prominent preachers who have spent many years in the movement. But still, when, as Prabhupada is writing there, one becomes ambitious to occupy the post of the spiritual master. Problem. So therefore, at all stages, one has to maintain that humble disposition. Then one will be safe. So that purport is finished, no?
Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer, and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down.
Yes, so that's what. So therefore, this is the protection. The protection of the Bhakti Lata is this association of devotees and remaining under guidance, taking instructions. So that is what will keep one protected. And then the Bhakti Lata will continue to grow. And as Srila Prabhupada writes here, so The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe, enters into the Brahmajyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Golok Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. And gradually, as the plant grows, fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produce fruits. And the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on, even in the spiritual worlds. Not that, ठीक है, अभी ये साधना है, तो हम करेंगे. बाद में आराम, वहां कुछ करना नहीं पड़ेगा. No, there one will spontaneously do it. हाँ बोलिए.
Regarding that Krishna can Kala Krishna Das holding. Prabhuji, he was associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you said that association of devotees are required. So he was already having...
No, we didn't say association, only association. What does that association mean?
Still, Prabhuji, he was having the association of devotees only. Came from the association of devotees only when he was going. So I wanted to ask that how we can completely eliminate that small freedom in our life of having that he has committed. But you said that association of devotees, and that answer was constantly remembering the instruction of spiritual master. So how we can practice, because some little mistakes can have happen actually.
Correct. So that independence of jiva is always there. And even Krishna does not interfere with that independence. Correct? Even Krishna doesn't interfere. That means the jiva always has that little independence. And how not to misuse? So by meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master. So every moment one has to think, what am I doing now? Is it in line with Guru Sadhu Shastra? Simple. That's all. So if one is always thinking that way, one will be safe.
That need to be practiced always. That what spiritual master at this time he wants. So it should be so much practice that every moment we can have to remember.
Correct. So that is sadhana. So that is practice. So now it is not natural. So therefore now we have to put endeavor to do that. So therefore, if there's any doubt at any time that what I'm doing, is it in line with Guru Sadhu Shastra, one should consult. Simple. So if one has any doubts, consult. Then one will be safe. So I don't remember if I mentioned this, but there's another good reference. Somebody can just confirm it. First Canto, 19th chapter, text number 35.
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is very dear to the son of King Pandu, he has accepted me as one of his relatives just to please his great cousin brothers.
कौन सा chapter है?
Appearance of Sukdev Goswami.
19th chapter, no? No, 35 नहीं शायद 25 by 25. Okay, see the purport. Read the purport.
The word Bhagwan is sometimes used in relation with some of the great devotees of the Lord, like Shukdev Goswami. Such liberated souls are disinterested in the affairs of this material world because they are self-satisfied by the great achievements of devotional service. As explained before, Shukdev Goswami never accepted any formal spiritual master, nor did he undergo any formal reformatory performances. His father was his natural spiritual master because Shukdev Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from him.
No, not this one. There's another one. Anyways, so it comes somewhere in this 19th chapter. But Srila Prabhupada writes this again beautiful statement. Any decision, however important it may be, must always be confirmed with higher authorities. That makes the matter perfect. This is in context of Parikshit Maharaj. He already had made his decision to fast until death. But then when all the great sages arrived over there, he confirmed his decision with them. Even though he is as great as Parikshit Maharaj, but still he confirmed his decision with all the great sages who assembled. So in that context, Prabhupada is writing the statement. So therefore, if there is any doubt, it's always best to confirm. Okay? So that's how Prabhupada is describing this, because we're talking about Shravanam Kirtanam, Machitta Madgata Prana. So that is why Prabhupada is describing all this. And okay, somebody can read the last paragraph of the purport. What is that? What is what's the reference? 12. 12. Okay, good. Read.
Although the king has already decided to fast until death on the bank of the Ganges, he humbly expressed his decision to elicit the opinions of the great authorities present there. Any important decision, however firmly fixed, should be confirmed by some authority. That makes the matter perfect.
Yes.
This means that the monarchs who ruled the earth in those days were not irresponsible dictators. They scrupulously followed the authoritative decisions of the saints and sages in terms of Vedic injunction. Maharaj Parikshit, as a perfect king, followed the principles by consulting the authorities even up to the last days of his life.
Right. So that's an important principle. Okay, read the last part of the purport here.
The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. As stated in the Bhagavatam itself, 12.13.18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association.
Okay, let's read this commentary.
Such Ananya Bhaktas who have attained spiritual intelligence, Buddhi Yoga, by my mercy, attain factual knowledge of me mentioned previously, which is hard to understand. Their minds are greedy for my form, name, qualities, pastimes, and the taste of sweetness, Machittaha. They are unable to maintain their lives without me, Madgata Prana. Just as men are completely dedicated to food, Annagata Prana, since they depend on it to live.
That's a very good example. Annagata Prana. Acha. So Anna, one is very attached to Anna. Why? Because one is convinced, if I don't eat, yes, I will die. So one is convinced about it. So because he is convinced, so that becomes prana, annagata prana. So similarly, for the Vaishnavas, they understand that for the soul, this is anna. For the soul, this understanding Krishna's form, name, qualities, pastimes, that is anna. So therefore, their minds are greedy, laulyam, ekamulyam. Again.
They explain to each other with friendliness about the types of bhakti and the real nature of bhakti, bodhayantaha. They talk about me, a great ocean of very sweet form, qualities, and pastimes, khatyantaha, and glorify me by narrating about my form, qualities, and pastimes. Since Smaran, Machitta, Shravan, Bodhayantaha, and Kirtan, Kathayantaha are the best among all types of bhakti, they have been specifically mentioned here. Thus, by this bhakti alone, these devotees are satisfied and experience happiness. This is
the mysterious aspect of bhakti.
or the meaning of satisfaction and enjoyment can be as follows. They are satisfied even at the stage of sadhana by continual performance of their worship brought about by good fortune, and they take pleasure in thinking of their future attainment of prema and enjoy with their Lord through the mind. This interpretation indicates Raganuga Bhakti. Materialists cannot understand how devotees can enjoy without dependence on external material stimulation.
Okay, so the verse applies to both sadhana bhakti as well as the higher stages of bhakti. So at the level of sadhana bhakti, then the devotees do it as a duty. But still, even if they do it as a duty, they will experience what? Tushanti and Ramanti. That is the nature. That is the nature of association with Krishna. So whether one does it as a duty or whether one does it spontaneously, in either case, one will experience satisfaction and great pleasure. And for those who are advanced devotees on Raganuga, Bhava and Prema, then they do it spontaneously and obviously they also experience satisfaction and great pleasure. Okay. So that's the Abhideya. Now going to the Prayojan. What is the result of this? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is how Krishna reciprocates with the loving devotional service of his devotees. So initially, Srila Prabhupada explains about karma yoga, jnana yoga and all that, buddhi yoga. So you can read the last paragraph.
A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion, render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him.
Okay, so these are some important points here. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master, may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instruction. So there could be various situations. Yesterday also in the Brahmachari class, some devotees were asking some questions in similar context, right? That if spiritual master is not there or spiritual master has passed away, some devotees were asking questions. And then Maharaj's main answer was, Krishna will help. Depend on Krishna and Krishna will help. And that's exactly what Prabhupada is also saying here. So if one is finding some difficulty in making progress, so even though one has a bona fide spiritual master, and of course these days devotees always have a challenge, okay, we cannot meet directly our spiritual masters. And okay, we are in ISKCON, we have a bona fide spiritual master, but still we are not receiving guidance and so on and so forth. And many devotees have this complaint that we are not able to have access to our Diksha Gurus. That has always been a complaint. But then that's no impediment for making progress. Right. No impediment. Absolutely. Why? Because Krishna is present as Chaitya Guru. And the external manifestation of the same Chaitya Guru is the Diksha Guru. And also all the Shiksha Gurus. And so therefore, due to some reason, if one cannot have advantage of that association, then Krishna will compensate for it. And Krishna can give that guidance those instructions which are required for a devotee to progress. What is the only qualification required? If you want to put it in one way, it is sincerity. But then Prabhupada is explaining here, the qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness, always engage himself in Krishna consciousness, and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. That's the qualification. Tesham satyuktanam bhajatam priti. So in other words, if a devotee is sincere and serious, so if a devotee is sincere and serious to progress in devotion and service, then again it is the same principle of yoga kshema vahamiyam. It's the same principle. If there is something lacking, then Krishna provides. So if some good external guidance is lacking, this is also another question which many times devotees ask, very often actually. And that is, so Diksha Guru is not available for guidance, then we have to take guidance from somebody down the line, and we don't have so much faith in them. They also commit mistakes. So how can we take guidance from such devotees? This is also a very persistent question that devotees ask. But the answer is the same. It all is based on one's own sincerity. So if one is sincere and wants to make progress, then Krishna will make arrangements, and we should have faith in that. So even though I'm taking guidance from some devotee who's not Mahabhagavat, Uttam Adhikari, he may not be perfect, but if Krishna wants to give me guidance through this person, can he not give? What do you think? Just like Bilomangal Thakur got guidance from the prostitute. So if Krishna can arrange something through a prostitute, why not through a devotee? Huh? This should be our faith. So it's not necessary that all the time we have to have guidance from Mahabhagavat. If one has, it's good. But if one does not have, that's no limitation for progress. So if one is sincere, Krishna can give. You know that pastime of Srila Prabhupada, initially he was, the back to Godhead was like 2 papers, like a newspaper. And then as he was distributing, there was one person, no? Some bus conductor, someone? Printer? Whoever. Who said, Swamiji, what's this newspaper? It'll be nice if you can give book. Like a magazine. And Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna is speaking through him. So Krishna's guidance can come in any way. You know the story of Lala Babu? Prabhupada gives this example in Nectar of Devotion. Anyone saw the video of the drama? No? Anyway, Chopadi devotees had performed drama. Very nice drama. So anyway, the important point there is, so there was this big zamindar who had huge acres of property, devotional Bengali family. And then, so he was touring his huge estate, making plans to increase his estate, take more land. And he was accompanied by one servant. And they were touring, and the servant was saying, see that land, oh, very nice land, take that one, take that one. And so it was becoming evening time. And as they were going on the side of the road, there were some small girls who were taking water from a well. And so as they're drawing water from the well, So one of the girls, she turns to her friends and says, see, it's getting late. It's becoming dark. It's getting late. We have to go back home. We have to take the cows along. We have to go back home. It's getting late. And he heard it. Lala Babu heard it. His name was something else before. But anyway, so he heard it. It's getting late. It's getting late. It's getting late. And he got a flash of lightning. Enlightenment. It's getting late. Human life is going to end. It's getting late. Finished. He told his servant, you go back home, I'm going. That servant is bewildered. He's, Master, what are you talking? You have such huge estates. Where are you going to go? Forget it. I'm leaving. And he left to Vrindavan. That's how Krishna can speak through anyone. So therefore, devotional services, ahituki, apratihata. There cannot be any material impediments to devotional service. And that's what Prabhupada is saying here. One cannot say, oh, because of this reason, I cannot progress. Because my spiritual master is 10,000 miles away, I can't progress. No. None of these reasons work. If one is sincere, then Krishna will give inspiration either directly from within or through someone, through anyone. Krishna can give inspiration to progress. Avadut Brahman, 11th canto. How many gurus? 24 gurus. He could learn from so many things, not people, things and animals and birds and beasts. He could learn from all of them. So therefore, there's that English saying which Prabhupada did quote, seek and you shall find. Just seek. One has to be a sincere seeker of the truths, and Krishna will reveal. So, therefore, Prabhupada is saying, he should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. That is sincerity. Working with love. Not that, oh, such a big burden, arey, kya bola gaya, kya seva bola gaya. No, with love. There is sincerity. Okay, even though service is difficult, let me try. And that's classic example is Prabhupada's disciples. They were not big scholars of Shastra or anything like that. But one qualification they had, what is that? Sincerity, surrender to spiritual master, eager to serve the spiritual master, literally lay down the life. And because they had that qualification, everything was revealed to them. Otherwise, as Prabhupada himself says, 3 couples going to London and bring out a revolution which even sannyasis could not do. How? The only qualification was, their only desire was somehow to please Srila Prabhupada. That's all. And because they had that desire, then Krishna did the magic. That's all. So Krishna did the magic. Krishna inspired George Harrison. So everything happened. So therefore, Prabhupada is writing, if a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere. He's not intelligent means what? He doesn't have the material intelligence. He may not have material intelligence to understand all the details of the scripture and understand all the technicalities and all that. He may not have that intelligence, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service. Lord gives him a chance to make progress, ultimately attain to him. Clear? Okay, let's read this.
It is understood that the joy of the devotee described in the previous verse is spiritual bliss beyond the modes.
So what has been described in previous verse is spiritual bliss. That happiness, tushanti, ramanti, it is on the spiritual platform, not material platform.
But by which method do the devotees gain direct contact with you? Who gives them the method of realizing you? Anticipating such a question, the Lord speaks.
Okay, so the verse is answering these two questions. By which method do the devotees gain direct contact with you? Okay, they gain spiritual bliss, happiness, but how they can gain direct contact? And who gives them the method of realizing?
I give Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti, to those who are constantly desirous of association with me. Satate Yuktanam. This means that the Lord alone causes Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. I alone appear within the functions of their minds. This Buddhi Yoga cannot be obtained at all from any other source, and it does not appear on its own.
So ultimately, Bhakti has to be given by Krishna only. Of course, that Bhakti comes through a Bhakta, but ultimately it is the grace of Krishna.
The statements means that realization of me is given only by me and received only by the devotee. By this bhakti, they attain me, they attain direct association with me. Upayanti, they come near me.
Okay. Some questions. So here, there are some statements. This is good for preaching application. So somebody may say, I believe that by helping people in distress, one can always be in communion with God, for God always cares for those in need. Understood? So somebody may say that if I do Samaj Seva, then Samaj is also Krishna's parts and parcels. So therefore, by doing Samaj Seva, I'll be in communion with God, connection with God. Madhav Seva, Manav Seva. So, how will you refute this?
In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that this type of worship is avidhipurvakam. It is just like if somebody
that is in reference to demigod worship.
In context, what I meant to say is that this is just like if you want to nurture the plant, then the vidhi is basically to give the roots. To give the water to the roots, not to the leaves or branches individually. So that way, if you try to in the same context, if you try to satisfy the people with the help of this Manav Seva, they won't be happy. They might get some temporary relief, but once if the water is given to the roots, then
okay, good.
So Prabhuji, everyone has his own karma. So everyone enjoying or suffering according to one's own karma. And if I try to save or help, then I will be taking part in his karma and indulging again myself in some sort of karma. So this will bound me also. Instead of freeing that person from the bondage of karma, I am myself getting entangled.
Okay, possible. Okay. रुको रुको, आपका टर्न आएगा.
There is one famous example Prabhupada gives. One small child, he a businessman, yeah, very big businessman child. He forgot it, and that time he actually gives father's association. So that is actually that.
Okay, giving fathers association as real welfare. Okay, good point. Okay. हाँ, बाजू में दो.
Roji, that Lord says, Sarva Dharman Paritijya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Roja.
हाँ.
Give up this Loka Dharma, something others Dharma.
Okay, that point is also correct. Sushma.
Because we have finite capacity, we cannot satisfy each and every individual. If we do some philanthropic work, there are thousands of more people who want to get served. So if we connect them to the real master, then the maintenance of them is duty of Krishna. That same example of father and son.
Okay, good.
From online connected.
Good. We forgot about online. कौन है आज online?
Raji Nayak Sakhadas, Kunjviher, Maharashtra से.
अच्छा, कुंजबिहारी में. अच्छा, good listening from there. हाँ, बोलो.
Raji Prabhupada tell one statement that earlier when Prabhupada went to America, that time also some beggars were there, and now after after many years also Prabhupada
In
found that.
Mumbai.
Yes, Mumbai. Huh? Same type of people are there. So we
Correct.
cannot change the society by helping people. However, we may help, but there will be such class of people existing in all times.
Correct. So we cannot change people's karma. Yes, by trying to free them from some distress, we cannot do so because by their karma they will get it anyways. Yes.
In the second chapter, Prabhupada says, material compassion, lamentation, and tears are the signs of ignorance of the real self.
Yes.
So, when a man is drowning, we should not save the the dress of whatever he is wearing. So, the real compassion is the protection of soul.
Okay, good.
Prabhupada gives
कौन बोल रहे?
online.
हाँ, बोलो.
This Prabhupada gives the story that if you see a rich man's millionaire son loitering in the street, what is the best service you can do to that son?
Yes, okay. Yes. Connecting him to the father. Bolo.
Here it is said people in distress, to make them. So actually, everybody in this world is facing three kinds of distress.
Correct.
Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Devik.
Correct.
So actually, the service, what you told, that service, the definition not clear properly. What is the service we can give properly? Just like we have discussed, the best service is connecting with the Lord. Okay, so how we can do by we are also serving the community outside people by giving the prasad, so that will make them closer to God. So
Correct.
like that we can do.
Yes.
That is a bit.
Okay, fine. And that's enough discussion on that. So you got your answer to your FFL now? Huh? Yeah? क्या बोल रहे? ठीक. Next. By studying and analyzing various literatures, I'm in constant communion with God. What is the necessity of service or devotion when is beyond the senses?
It is Bhavatam has a reference that Sevan Mukai Jivadu Swami. Unless you do service, you will not be able to understand that. You may read literature, but unless you do service, you will not be able to understand that. That's what Bhavatam says.
So why? So what does the service do?
Service brings you closer to Lord, and then that is the expression of your love to Lord.
So by that, okay, service is expression of love. Then what happens?
Then you become, because as you express, you get more, you got more closer to that personality.
Okay.
And then your love increases more.
Okay, fine.
Because ultimately you are trying to be in communion with Lord.
Lord is Atmaram, so he's always happy even we serve or not. But it is for our purification. We get a chance to express our love, and in that way, our senses become purified. Because with these senses only, we have to serve Lord. These would become spiritualized. So senses would remain same actually.
Okay, similar point. Spiritualized senses, then we can understand.
This studying various literatures, studying books, basically it strengthens our sambandha. But for doing that, the abhidha is to do seva and to practicalize it. Then only the provision can be reached.
Okay, good points. Good points.
So as yesterday we were discussing that there is two type of the Gyan and Vigyan. So this study literature is like Gyan, and that is like Aishwarya Gyan of the Lord. And
Good.
then when we do service with love and devotion, that is like Vigyan, making relations with each
Realization.
other.
Yes. Good.
So one example you gave last day, yesterday, that when Prabhupada met somebody, then he was saying that I am just in mind I am just serving the Lord. And he gave the example that if you are eating, then eat in the mind while you are doing the physical activity. So like that, if one is reading the literature, then it should translate into the action.
Okay, good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. By studying this literature, Prabhuji, one may become jnani, not bhakta. Bhakta means one who practices whatever he heard, whatever he read. That knowledge he practices in practical life. That is engaging his mind and senses in the service of the Lord.
Of course, studying our bhakti literatures itself is devotional service. Because this is bhakti literature, non-different from Krishna. कौन बोल रहा है?
Oasis.
हाँ?
किसने?
Huh? So what's important is that, yes, it is studying the scriptures is also devotional service, but that at the same time, it will remain on theoretical platform if we don't apply and follow the instructions. Okay, next statement. What is the next statement? Some people say that God speaks to them directly. Therefore, they don't need to approach Guru for guidance. भगवान स्वप्न में आते हैं, हृदय से बोलते हैं, सब. So what you'll tell? Pradeep.
The God only says to approach Guru, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashrena sevya. He only says that. And he says, Tasmad Guru prapadeta jigyasushya uttama. So he only gives the way to approach him and how he can get guidance.
Right.
Whenever God comes, he himself accepts a guru.
Yes,
So,
he himself accepts a guru. That's also a good point.
I'll think my sense is not perfect. So whatever I dreaming, that is not perfect.
Yes, so we can make mistakes. So in answer to that, see what Prabhupada says.
Srila Prabhupada, there is one common philosophy held by a lot of religious group that God can understood directly from within, and that no guru is necessary.
So anyway, just on that point, it reminded me, during Prabhupada's time, there was a book which was written by one famous author, and he said, and the title of the book was, There's No Need of Guru. That was the title of the book. There's no need of Guru. How did Prabhupada refute it? Exactly. So Prabhupada said, then why you are becoming Guru and writing something? Then why should I listen to you? You are writing there's no need of Guru, and you are becoming Guru and writing book. Then why should I listen to you?
He is a rascal, and one who accepts him is a rascal. How do you think that God is speaking to him? How do you accept it? God talks to whom? With whom? Tesam satta. Those who have already become devotee of God and engaged in his service. He talks with them, not a third-class fool. One who is engaged in the service of the Lord 24 hours a day with love and faith, God talks with him. When one follows instruction of the Guru, Krishna will give intelligence.
Continue.
In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush in Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in the sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Real intelligence means linking with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When this is done, the Supreme Personality of Godhead from within gives one the real intelligence by which one can return home back to Godhead.
Yes. Prashant Pragodo, Pandit.
Eagerness as qualification. God wants to see how eager you are. So, in the development of our eagerness and sincerity to have knowledge and spiritual understanding, God will help us. Laulyam, eagerness, that is the price. That is the only qualification. You must be very, very eager to see the lotus feet of Krishna in this very life. You must be very eager to talk with Krishna in this very life, but not to become Sahajiya by service. Krishna talks with the devotee, but not with the non-devotee. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. Only persons who are always engaged in Krishna service, he has no other business. Satatam means 24 hours. Bhajatam means in service.
So see, Prabhupada translates Bhajatam as service.
You must always find some opportunity to render service to Krishna. That is the qualification. It doesn't matter what you are. You may be this or that. It doesn't matter. But this eagerness for service can be acquired by anyone simply by sincerity. That is the price. Rup Goswami says, Tatra laulyam eklam maulyam. So I have too much eagerness, but no immediately. Srila Rup Goswami wants na janma
Kotibi sukrutibi labhyate.
This eagerness to achieve Krishna's mercy, to approach the lotus feet of Krishna in this life. I shall do anything. I shall sacrifice anything. This kind of determination is not very easily obtained. Na janma kotabi
sukrutibi.
Sukruti means pious activities. Without being pious, nobody can approach Krishna. Krishna is not so cheap.
Okay, so one has to develop the eagerness, the determination, laulyam to achieve Krishna. Then Krishna will also reciprocate by giving that intelligence, sincerely following the instructions of spiritual master. Okay, next verse. Teshamevānukam partham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So this is what Krishna does. Okay, please read the first paragraph of the purport.
When Lord Chaitanya was in Banaras, promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literature or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaging Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.
Okay, similar point. Even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he's sincere in his devotional service, he's held by Krishna himself within his heart. So, the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. So if somebody is sincere, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janyatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha. So Krishna Suryasam Maya hai andhakar Jaha Krishna Taha nahi Maya ra adhikar. So that's how it works. And then he's talking about Mayavadis and just one second. Okay, read the last paragraph. So Prabhupada is writing the same there at the end of the third paragraph. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Continue.
Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chant Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors.
Yes. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materials. So Krishna gives whatever is lacking. Again, the same principle of Yoga Kshema Mahamayam. If knowledge is lacking, Krishna provides that. He removes the ignorance. So whatever is lacking, Krishna provides. Whatever is there, Krishna protects. And that's how, from material perspective, spiritual perspective, from all perspectives, Krishna protects his devotee. Yes, Vishnu?
So here Prabhupada says, even if a devotee does not take advantage of the literatures or of his spiritual master, that means he's like neglecting the spiritual.
No, that's not the meaning there, as we discussed previously. Also, it means that due to some material reason, he may not be able to take advantage. That's the intended meaning. So, because immediately after that, what Prabhupada is saying? He's sincere.
Yeah, means there are two contradictory.
So that's why it's not a contradiction. Therefore, the intended meaning there is he's unable to take advantage due to some material reason. Like maybe he's not materially intelligent enough to read the Shastras, understand the Shastras, or spiritual master is far away, not available, whatever. That is the intended meaning.
So sometimes like even devotees take advantage of this, can take advantage. Hey, means we may be sincere, but again, we don't come to temple, take advantage of devotees. We read scriptures on our own. So then how to like...
So therefore the sincerity is important.
So sincerity is a very vast term. Like to define it in practicality, it's like...
So therefore, everyone has to understand what is sincerity. That means whatever I can practice to the best of my ability. So see, justification and excuses, that is how Maya works. So Maya will give sufficient intelligence to give justifications and excuses. But then if I'm sincere, then I will not try to find justifications and excuses. That is my sincerity. Then I will try to do my best to serve sincerely, to act according to the rules and regulations. So that is the meaning of sincerity, isn't it? No material motivations, no duplicity. So that is the meaning of sincerity.
Also, one more question. That was regarding the last verse. So there you quoted one statement from Srila Prabhupada that even a Paramahansa follows rules and regulations. So like yesterday in Maharaj's class, Maharaj was telling like Bhaktivedanta Thakur is a Paramahansa. He can take sannyas himself. Acharya can do anything. Sometimes we see in case of Srila Prabhupada, like he took rasgulla, samosas from Rajbhog plate. Some very few pastimes are there. So like all Prabhupada often showed this, and that's how we counter argument these points that Paramahansa is above rules and regulations. So It appears little contradictory here.
So that is why one thing is, how many times did those instances happen?
Very few times.
So that itself is very rare. That is one thing. And the second thing, as Maharaj was telling yesterday, so such highly elevated personalities, because of the inspiration of Krishna from within, then they act in those ways. And they cannot be imitated. So therefore, when we find something which somebody very elevated does, which doesn't fit into the normal routine, then I have to understand that it's beyond my understanding. Or I have to understand that it is something which is special. I can't imitate.
But many people, in the name of that, some can be fake also. They do take sannyas on their own. And that,
yes, they can do, no problem. They can do.
But
and see the result. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion that somebody may get honorary PhD. How many get honorary PhD?
Very few.
So somebody can think, okay, I'll also not study, I'll wait for honorary PhD. ठीक है, रुको, जिंदगी भर रुको, कौन देगा? So similarly, exceptions cannot become the rule. So just because somebody as elevated as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur or Ramanujacharya did, I cannot do. So one has to understand, therefore, what is the position of these personalities. So therefore, one has to study the history of these personalities. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, such a Naishtik Brahmachari. And so many instances, right from his beginning of his life, how he was so special.
Yes.
So if one is not falling into that category, then better one follow. So one has to understand all these things. One has to take into consideration. So if one wants to cheat, that's another thing. If one wants to take advantage, cheat people, but that's the meaning of sincerity then. Chicken. Okay. So we will just read one commentary before we take a break. Okay. Okay, better than this is this one. Okay, read this.
Baldev Vidyabhushan 10.11. Since they have been existing in the darkness of ignorance for such a long time, how is it possible that you can illuminate their hearts? Not for the Sanishthas, but for those who cannot maintain their lives without me, for my unallied devotees alone, Tesham Eva. Since they are worthy objects of my mercy, Anukam Partha. I, situated with the attachment for that soul, Atma Bhavastha, like a bee in the lotus flower, reveal in the Atma my dazzling form and qualities, and destroy darkness in the form of desires for objects other than myself, born from ignorance in the form of beginningless karma, which covers knowledge, agyana jamtamaha. By means of the glowing lamp of knowledge concerning my form and qualities, jnana deepena bhasvata.
So here is nicely explaining. So only for he uses these terms sarnishtas, and so sarnishta means one who has some material desires, but he's not talking about them. So he's talking about his unalloyed devotees alone. Unalloyed devotees alone. And since why? Because they're worthy objects of my mercy. And then what does Krishna do? What does Krishna do for such devotees? He enters the heart like a bee entering a lotus flower. So he enters, and then what does he do? He reveals himself. That's what he does. He reveals himself. And once he reveals himself, Krishna Suryasam, then immediately ignorance is destroyed. So ignorance which has been there since time immemorial, ajnana jamtama. But then Krishna appears within the heart, and then he dissipates the ignorance. Continue.
One question here. Like Krishna is already there in the heart. No? So,
Krishna is already there, but he does not reveal himself.
Then why the term is used, he enters?
So he enters means that he is, basically it is to show that how he reveals himself basically. That's the basic point.
I being satisfied with their exclusive devotion to me, having the quality of being responsible for bestowing and preserving whatever they need, Yoga Kshema, elevate their intelligence and destroy the ignorance within. I bear the responsibility for all this. They do not have to take pains for this at all. This has already been stated with Yoga Kshema Vahamyam 9.22. The intelligent person understands that what is glorified in the 9th and 10th chapters,
which are the very womb of the Gita, is the essence of the Gita. They occur at the exact center of the 18 chapters. Okay, and read this one.
If he surrenders only to Krishna, he acquires all the knowledge. So similarly, if any person without any knowledge, if he surrenders only to Krishna, he acquires all the knowledge. He has surpassed all stages, and that is also confirmed. If you say how he has gone, surpassed all stages, that answer in Bhagavad Gita you find. Tesham evanukam partham aham ajnana jam tamha nashami atmabhavastu jnana dipena bhashvata. Tesham, because he is a devotee, just to show him a special favor. Tesham evanukam partham, simply for showing a special favor, I myself from within, I light up the knowledge. And you will be surprised that my Guru Maharaj, spiritual master, was Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. He was completely illiterate. He did not know how to sign, and my spiritual master was the most learned man of his age. He accepted that Guru who was completely illiterate. But when he would speak, that Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, he would speak with all Vedic references.
So without reading, he would give all Vedic references. Right. So that's how Krishna reveals everything. Okay, fine. So we'll take a break and continue. Hare Krishna. Correct? See, he's drinking water. I don't know what he's thinking. So at least we can think.
It's a matter of practice or some...
Yes. Just 1 second. Let's go back to that. 7 chapter 8th verse. Of course, towards the end of this purport, Prabhupada writes, the jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere, and one knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. So I don't remember exactly where, but Srila Prabhupada does make this point somewhere that yes, it is a matter of practice. We have to practice this. So it's not natural, but that's our practice. Therefore, Krishna has given all these examples. So when you drink water, you see the sun. see the moon, when you get indigestion. So at all those times, one can remember, oh, this is due to Krishna. So yes, one has to practice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, that Krishna says in some of verse that among creators I am Brahma, among all the demigods I am Indra, like that. But if you see, Brahma also make mistakes sometimes. He bewilders.
So see what is the mood of all these statements? It does not mean that Brahma is Krishna. That is not the meaning. The meaning is that Brahma's opulence is due to Krishna. What is Brahma's opulence?
Creation.
He is intelligent, and what he does?
Creation.
So that creative power of Brahma is Krishna. Either way, it is same. Shakti, Shaktimatayor, Abheda. So either you consider it Krishna's or you consider it Krishna. Both are correct on the absolute platform.
While creating something or while using intelligence and all, we say that it's Krishna's.
Yes.
So while committing mistakes, why we don't say that?
What do you think?
No, bro, I'm asking. I'm getting bewildered.
No, that is.
So Indra also makes mistakes many times. So although Lord says how to understand this, and some Muslim persons ask this question. I heard that.
So what answer you will give? Somebody asks you that question. What answer you will give?
So that one of verse, Prabhuji, that Krishna only tells that this is my energy actually. Says.
So when we make mistakes, who is responsible? Krishna only, correct? Ashok Prabhu, who's responsible? You make some mistakes in kitchen or no? Huh?
That it's because of my fault.
Why? सब भगवान ही करते हैं, करवाते हैं, सब भगवान से होता है ना. तो नमक ज्यादा किसने डाला? भगवान.
But the free will of the jiva is there, because of which, if whether he wants to align with the Guru Parampara or not, that free will is there. So if I use it misrightly, then the blessing is there. Otherwise, if I misuse it, then if I make a mistake, then it's my own free will. I make a mistake.
Good. You have a lot of realization. Huh? हाँ ठीक है प्रभु, सुन लिया आपने?
I was searching that verse.
कौन सा verse?
That here 40th verse, Lord says, yeah, but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. It's not Krishna, but Krishna's energy and opulence.
Yes, so all this is a mere indication or a tiny spark of Krishna's opulence. So Krishna has got unlimited power. He gives little bit of that power to some jiva. Maybe due to his pious credits, previous pious credits, because of that, he gives a little bit of his opulence to some jiva. So it's small spark. But we can understand, so if anybody has any opulence, we should link that to Krishna. It is because of Krishna's grace that this person has this opulence. लेकिन आपका प्रश्न तो दूसरा था ना, वो mistake का प्रश्न था ना. If somebody does mistakes, who's responsible? That was your question, na? So that answer Ashok Prabhu gave. So anyway, he said that it's basically because our misuse of free will. Because of our misuse of free will, we make mistakes. Krishna does not want us to make mistakes. Therefore, he has given Shastra so that we don't make mistakes.
Whatever great quality we have, that is Krishna's. So, but whatever mistakes we do because of our free will.
Correct. That's correct. Okay. Yes. Now you answer your question. Why does he sanction? दे दो mic दे दो उनको.
We adamantly want, therefore he.
Correct. So Krishna says, no, don't do it. But then Vittalji says, no, I want to do it.
But Prabhuji, it like the in discussion it feels, but when actually it happens, that yes, that we cannot pursue this. यार हम बोलते हैं और हम adamantly चीजें को जब हम करते हैं. So like here another question I wanted to ask is.
आप दो क्वेश्चन मिक्स क्यों कर रहे हैं? एक पहला पूरा करो.
First question is Prabhuji, कि when we do adamantly when we go for doing wrong, so how I should understand that whether I am going in this direction and Paramatma is also guiding me and I am going against his will.
The Lord only gives intelligence to the atheist to write volumes of books denying his existence. क्यों? Desire. Everything is based on desire. So when I desire something strongly, then Krishna says, okay, as Prabhupada says in lecture, first Krishna says, don't do it. Chori mat karo. Don't do it. But the Jiva said, no, karna hi hai, karna hai. Mahaprasad chori karna hi hai. So then Krishna says, okay, do it, but yes, at your own risk.
This desiring capacity or this desire, it depends upon our previous karmas or it is just totally free will. Means jiva in any condition can desire any desire.
ये पूरा डिस्कशन ऑलरेडी हो गया. 5th चैप्टर में हो गया, 7th चैप्टर में हो गया.
5th, I do remember that you mentioned that first one we Krishna Bhuli Aju and then whatever comes is just that reaction of that.
Correct. So even desire is influenced by 3 modes. Even desire gets influenced by 3 modes. We gave that example. Which example? If you keep a wine bottle in front of drunkard, क्या करेगा? Choice है कि नहीं? Choice is there. Choice is always there. Free will is there. But because of the influence of Tamogun, he will drink it. That is how the 3 modes. Therefore, Prakrite Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvashaha. 3 modes are acting very powerful. So therefore, it requires a lot of determination to change that desire. Not so easy. Not so easy. Therefore, we find even great transcendentalists, jnanis, yogis, even they fall down. Why? This is the whole problem. Desire. So therefore, to change that desire, first of all, to change the desire, one needs knowledge. This is good, this is bad. ये सही है, ये गलत है. So first of all, one should know. बहुत सारे लोगों को पता ही नहीं क्या सही है, क्या गलत है. Correct. So first of all, one gets knowledge. ठीक है, ये सही है, ये गलत. But then to apply that requires determination and mercy. So I have to use my determination, but that itself is not sufficient. That determination has to attract grace. Then the grace does the job. Okay, we'll read one nice purport to substantiate this so that you'll be more convinced. So you open your laptop. First canto, second chapter, 17th verse. And you read the last two paragraphs of the purport. It's very important for brahmacharis especially.
One cannot enter the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are product of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires.
It is what?
Very difficult.
Very difficult to get rid of such desires.
Woman and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements.
Yes, what? Many stalwarts, Maharati, Atirati, many stalwarts have fallen victims to what?
These allurements.
Wealth and women.
And thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord.
That's the crux of the matter. But when one is helped by
Lord Himself.
Lord Himself. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole matter becomes as easy as anything. But the important point is what? One needs help from the Lord. If one thinks, मैं करके दिखाऊंगा, मैं ब्रह्मचारी बनूंगा, मैं सन्यासी बनूंगा, मैं ही करूंगा, doesn't work. Devesh gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Very difficult. Great stalwarts have fallen. So one needs what? Help from the Lord. आगे पढ़ो.
To become restless in the contact of woman and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature.
It takes time to recover from this foreign nature. What is the foreign nature?
To lord it over material nature.
To lord it over material nature, to try and enjoy. It will not go away so easily. It takes time because we have been associating with these foreign nature since time immemorial.
But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind.
Yes. By the grace of
God.
By the grace of the Lord. आगे पढ़ो.
Such a devotee gets sufficient strength.
So such a devotee, which devotee? Which devotee?
One who is engaged in hearing.
Yes, one who is engaged in devotional service. So one who is engaged in devotional service, when he engages, he attracts the mercy of the Lord. Then by the grace of the Lord, the devotee becomes free from these disturbances. This is the essential principle of devotional service we should always keep in mind. It's not my strength. Without Krishna's grace, we should know we are helpless, totally helpless. So therefore, it's not based on my strength, my scholarship, my charity, my tapasya. No. We are doing all this only for one purpose, and that is to attract grace. So therefore, you know those incidents, right? Somebody may say, I'll chant 64 rounds every day without instruction of Guru. Then what happens? those very 64 rounds become the cause of fall down. Somebody may say, "Arey, what is this? He was chanting holy names. Why he fell down?" Why? Because that chanting of the holy names did not attract grace. So we should remember these points. So similarly, somebody may say, "Oh, I'll read all the scriptures, I'll read this, I'll read that, I'll get so much knowledge, and then I will go back to Godhead." No, sir. It doesn't work that way. So everything that we do in devotional service is ultimately to attract grace. And that grace does the job. So well-known example, we all know, we have to keep this in mind, the sparrow trying to drive the ocean. That is our situation. So that is why when one understands the Siddhanta, that I cannot do anything on my own, I am helpless. Then as Srila Prabhupada says, when one is chanting the holy names, one will chant like child crying for the mother. Helpless, helpless situation. I can't do it on my own. मेरे बस की बात नहीं है. ठीक है?
From the context of all those verses which you have read, it appears that if Krishna's mercy is there, then even Guru's mercy is also not required. It appears something like that.
अरे बाबा, अभी इतना सब चर्चा करने के बाद आप कैसे पॉइंट उठा रहे?
नहीं प्रज्वल, मतलब the way Prabhupada writes the purport, many 2-3 purports, it was, but although it has been clarified before only that.
So that is the point. That is the point. It has already been clarified.
Yes.
So everything has to be seen in context, no? You cannot pull things out of context.
Yes.
So that's how people misinterpret. By pulling things out of context, they misinterpret. But one has to see the whole picture.
Yes. One doubt in this opulences. So, in one of the verses, 34 verse, Krishna says, like, among women I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness. So, like, but in purport, Prabhupada says, these are pertaining to man. If a person possesses all of them, he becomes glorious. If a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. If a man studying after studying, one can remember a subject, he is gifted with a good memory. So, like, if these qualities pertain to women, then how, like, means they can also be in man also, then, so how we can do?
So, yes, that is true. Even a man can have all these qualities. So there are two viewpoints on this. Kirti, Shrir, Vak, Chunarinam, Smritir, Medha, Dhriti, Kshama. So as Prabhupada says, the 7 opulences listed, fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, are considered feminine. Why they are considered feminine? So one reason is all of these, from a, you can say, historical perspective, they're all daughters of Prajapati Daksha. Therefore, they're feminine. One point. Another point is that we do find that some of these qualities are better in women. Just like fine speech. Men also can have fine speech, but you find most of the people who are supposed to be speaking very sweetly, like at the reception of hotels, or we have company secretaries, call centers, and air hostesses, and all these. So all of them women, right? Why? Because that's natural for them. It's natural for them to speak sweetly. Man tends to be a little harsh sometimes. But women naturally have that quality. And similarly, memory. Huh? Women are considered less intelligent, but at the same time, their memory is good. We do find women, ladies on the top list in many of the educational fields. We do find that. So they do have good memory, because modern education is mostly based on memory only, memory recall. Somebody has good memory, he can write the exam. Whether he is understood or not, that's another thing. Yeah, that's true. In medical field, it's all about memory. Correct. So they're good in that. Steadfastness, patience. So some of these qualities are definitely more with women.
When they are in women, that represents Krishna. When they are in man.
So therefore, see, because they are more in women, so therefore he says among women.
Okay.
But it does not mean that they have to be only in women. So therefore you can see Prabhupada is making a general statement. After that 7 opulences, then the next statement, what he's saying? If a person, you see, Prabhupada is writing a general statement. If a person possesses all of them or some of them, he becomes glorious. And see, even when Prabhupada writes, if a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. So we should always remember that the word man is a general term.
General term, yes.
It does not refer to the gender man. It's a general statement. So it's a general statement. But because these qualities are sometimes found more in women, so therefore Krishna is saying Narina, among women. Okay?
And Prabhuji, in one of the verses, Dyutam Chalatyamasmi. Dyutam Chalatyamasmi. 36 verse. So, like that time we were telling mistakes are not, so Dyutam and Chalaytam, it's Chal means mistake only. So
cheating.
Cheating. So how can we reconcile that? Krishna says, I am cheaters, best among the cheaters. Prabhupada writes also, if Krishna wants to cheat, nobody can be a better cheater than him.
Correct. So Prabhupada is writing, his greatness is not simply one-sided, it is all-sided.
Yes.
So Krishna is not only perfect in good things, he's perfect in bad things also. Because he's supreme, he has to be supreme in everything, na?
Yes.
So if Krishna wants to cheat, he'll be the best of cheaters. So what is your problem with that? So you mean to say Krishna should not cheat?
No, I don't say that. I'm telling you, just sometime before we were discussing that mistakes are due to our own, due to 3 modes of material nature. And now, like, if somebody is cheating, so now how should we see it? Is it because Krishna is the top among the cheaters, or because
Krishna is inspiring him to cheat? Yes, Krishna is inspiring him. Krishna is giving him intelligence to cheat. Why?
Because he
wants to cheat. Not because Krishna wants him to cheat. Krishna is giving him the intelligence. Prabhupada gives examples. Just like the people do big bank robberies and whatnot, they loot, na? Huh? These days especially, so many things are happening these days. So who's giving them intelligence?
Krishna.
Krishna is only giving intelligence for them to cheat. But why he is giving them intelligence?
Because they want to do it.
Yes. So there is that famous statement of Srila Prabhupada in the 13th chapter of the first canto. Dhritarashtra quits home. When after the strong preaching of Vidura, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari leave home without telling anyone. The next morning, Sanjay, Dhritarashtra's personal secretary, goes to offer his respects to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. And so he finds, hey, they've disappeared without telling me. I've sincerely served since so many years, and without telling me, they went off. And so Sanjay says, I have been cheated. I have been cheated. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that famous statement. What?
Great devotees cheat for a
Great devotees cheat for a great cause. And he gives examples of Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. So even great souls cheat. But for what? Great cause. So if I want to justify my cheating, then I have to ask these two questions. Am I great soul? And do I have a great cause? If I don't have either of these, then I have no right to cheat.
The first one may not be true, but second one may sometimes, like devotees who are working in company, they have to take leaves for yatra. So they tell lie, my father has passed away. This something like something like this.
So of course, it may be a great cause, and hopefully he's following a great soul. And it's not too whimsical. Then it's authorized. Okay. Yes, he gives his own example also. Yes. All right. Okay, we wanted to start the 11th chapter, but now it's time up. So tomorrow we'll try to finish. Tomorrow and day after, in these 2 days, we are not going to try. Of course, we can try, but we should be more determined to finish the 11th and the 12th chapters in the next 2 days. Huh? Yeah? आज क्या है? आज वेडनेसडे है ना? थर्सडे, फ्राइडे. ठीक. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. मैं बताऊँ? चलो.
Memory and you told about memory.